The call came in just after midnight on a cold, clear night in Fairbanks, Alaska. At Fairbanks International Airport, routine turned to chaos. An unidentified aircraft had breached secure airspace. No response, no radar signature. It was a ghost, threatening to ground an entire nation. Initial reports were confused: a security breach, a possible hijacking, a threat no one could define. One thing was clear: America's northernmost line of defense had been crossed. This is the story of the Fairbanks incident, a single event that nearly shut down air travel across the United States. Through the eyes of travelers, controllers, and federal agents, we relive the night when a single question echoed: what was happening in the skies above Alaska? It began with a blip on a screen that shouldn't have been there. The aircraft, a small, unmarked jet, vanished from secondary radar. Flying dark, no transponder, no communication. For the controllers on duty, it was surreal, something deliberate and menacing. The silence from the cockpit was the most unnerving part. Tonight we take you inside that control tower. We'll hear from those who made the first critical decisions and the pilots ordered to stay put. We'll unpack the chain of events, moment by moment. How did this happen? How could an aircraft simply appear, unannounced, over critical infrastructure? The answers revealed a startling gap in our national security. On that frigid Alaskan night, the gap was wide enough for a nightmare to fly through. The incident exposed a vulnerability we never knew we had. For a few terrifying hours, it held the nation's security in its grip. The airport became a cage, not a gateway. The clock was ticking, and the world was watching. This is the night the lights nearly went out in the last frontier, and it all started with a ghost in the sky. The story begins here. Fairbanks International Airport is not like other airports. It's a vital link between North America and Asia, built for extremes, 50 below zero, months of darkness. On November 12, 2024, the usual calm was replaced by unease. A few dozen passengers waited for late-night flights. Alaska Airlines Flight 357 to Seattle was boarding. Outside, ground crew worked under floodlights, unaware they were on the front line of a national crisis. The airport, a symbol of connection, was about to become a cage. The weather was perfect. Clear skies, no wind, aurora borealis overhead. But inside the control tower, all eyes were on the screens. Fairbanks shares airspace with military bases. Coordination is constant. That routine was about to be shattered. The threat wasn't from a known drill or scheduled flight, it was from the unknown. For those inside, the airport felt safe, secure, federal. But security is a chain, and that night, a link was about to break. The airport's remote location, its greatest asset, was also its greatest vulnerability. Help was hours away. The nearest major FBI office was in Anchorage. On this night, Fairbanks was on its own. The airport's isolation made it a target. The bubble of warmth and light was about to be pierced. No one expected what was coming. The stage was set for a crisis no one was prepared to face. The world outside was frozen, but inside, tension was rising. The unknown was closing in. Fairbanks International was about to face its greatest test, and the clock was ticking. It started at 11:52 p.m. Senior Controller David Chen noticed a faint, fast-moving dot on primary radar, too fast for a bird, too erratic for a balloon. Secondary radar showed nothing. The dot was electronically invisible. "We've got a ghost," Chen said. "Fast mover, no squawk, heading for the approach corridor." The ghost aircraft didn't deviate, descending steadily toward the airport. Controllers tried every frequency, no response. The dot grew larger, more defined. It was real, and it was getting closer. The supervisor ordered a ground stop for all departing flights. Alaska Airlines Flight 357, moments from pushback, was ordered to shut down. Inside the terminal, confusion turned to fear. The pilot announced a security issue. Anxiety spread among passengers. Outside, police cars secured the perimeter, but the threat was still just a dot on a screen. At 12:07 a.m., the ghost made its closest approach, 900 feet over the main runway. Ground crew described a sleek, dark business jet, silent and unmarked. It didn't land or circle. After a low pass, it banked east and vanished into the darkness. The immediate danger had passed, but the crisis was just beginning. The ghost was gone, but the questions it left behind were terrifying. Who was flying it? What was its purpose? The airport was left in a state of shock. The system had been breached. The silence was deafening. The threat had come and gone in minutes, but its impact would last for years. The first sign of trouble had become a national emergency. The ghost had left its mark, and the night was far from over. The real test was just beginning. Sarah Jenkins, a passenger on Flight 357, recalled waiting to take off when the captain announced a security issue. Fear spread instantly. People started to get really nervous. We could see flashing lights outside, but nobody told us anything. We were trapped in a metal tube, powerless, wondering what was happening. Mark Peterson, on the de-icing crew, saw the aircraft. It was completely black, no lights, no logos. The sound was a low hum. It came right over us, so low I thought I could throw a rock at it. My first thought was a secret military plane, but why buzz a civilian airport? It felt like a message. In the control tower, David Chen felt helpless. My job is to maintain order in the sky. That night I lost control. We had a hostile target and we were helpless. Special Agent Miller arrived to control chaos. My priority was to determine if this was terrorism. The lack of information was the biggest challenge. We had a radar track, but no identity. The aircraft performed a textbook penetration of secure airspace. This wasn't a joyrider, this was professional, and that was the most alarming conclusion. The incident exposed a hole in the system no one imagined. The airport was secure, but the sky was not. The chaos was real, and the threat was far from over. The Fairbanks incident was more than a local scare, it was a direct threat to the entire US air transportation system. The moment an unidentified aircraft penetrates secure airspace, it triggers national protocols. Calls went to NORAD and the FAA's command center. Suddenly, a ghost over Alaska was a problem for Washington, D.C. Was this a singular event or the start of something bigger? The fear, a coordinated attack. The FAA and Homeland Security faced a terrible choice: wait for more information or issue a nationwide ground stop. For 90 minutes, top officials debated a full shutdown. The ghost had vanished, no claim of responsibility, no intelligence chatter. A national ground stop would signal the US had lost control of its skies. Ultimately, the lack of a second incident led to a limited ground stop on the West Coast. The nation came perilously close to a full stop. The incident revealed how a single event in a remote corner could hold the entire system hostage. The threat was real, and the response was nearly unprecedented. The crisis put the chain of command to the test. Local controllers' quick decision to ground flights was crucial. Alerts moved rapidly up the ladder. Airport manager, law enforcement, FBI, FAA regional, then national command. The alert system worked, but the response phase exposed weaknesses. NORAD should have scrambled jets, but a critical delay occurred. Automated systems flagged the ghost as a possible sensor anomaly. By the time analysts confirmed the threat, the ghost had already passed. Civilian authorities were left to react to an airborne threat they couldn't counter. The jurisdictional gray area was frightening. An adversary could exploit the seam between civilian and military responsibilities. The crisis was managed by conference calls connecting a dozen agencies. The chain of command held, but just barely. The incident was a brutal stress test of national security. In the aftermath, a massive investigation began. The FBI led the inquiry. Intelligence agencies searched for clues. No nation or group claimed responsibility. Analysis confirmed the aircraft was a modified business jet with advanced stealth and countermeasures. The incident was likely a probe by a sophisticated foreign power, testing defenses, measuring response times, identifying vulnerabilities. Fairbanks was chosen deliberately for its location and strategic value. The most significant vulnerability exposed was the sensor gap. Vast remote areas with limited radar coverage. The ghost exploited this gap, flying low and dark. The public was shocked. How could this happen in modern America? The incident became a case study in national security. The unseen vulnerability was now in the spotlight. Pressure mounted to fix it before the next ghost appeared. The lesson was clear. Our defenses were not as airtight as we believed. The Fairbanks incident became a catalyst for change. Congress held hearings. The final report called for a complete overhaul of airspace security, especially in remote areas. New sensor systems were deployed, closing the gap in Alaska. NORAD protocols were rewritten. Any unidentified aircraft now triggers an immediate alert. A new joint command protocol was established between the FAA, NORAD, and FBI. Joint training exercises became routine. The FAA implemented stricter regulations for northern airspace. The legacy of Flight 357 was a safer sky for all who followed. Security became a continuous process of adaptation. The ghost aircraft forced the nation to evolve. The Fairbanks incident's ending remains open. The ghost aircraft was never identified. The lesson: threats are persistent and ever-evolving. Complacency is the enemy. The event shattered the illusion of foolproof security. Our strengths, interconnectedness, technology, vastness, are also vulnerabilities. A single probe can test defenses and force impossible choices. The incident was a warning shot, not a disaster. The takeaway is vigilance, a call for constant readiness and investment in people and technology. The lights in Fairbanks are back on, but the sky looks different. Freedom and security must be guarded, especially on the quiet frontiers. The lesson is clear. We must always be ready for the next ghost in the machine.